I became, my reporter instincts kicked in, and I decided to learn more about Daisy, as she was known. So I went to Savannah, and I went to the Georgia Historical Society, and I got to read some of her letters, which was really fun, in her own handwriting. And I went to, the birthplace in Savannah, and I went to New York and did research there too, at the headquarters, at the Girl Scout headquarters in New York, where they also have a lot of really interesting primary sources. And I learned more and more about her, and I created this book that is really for both adults and the girls themselves. I've heard from, I think, girls as young as 4th grade who have read it, and it is written also for adults, but there's also some pictures in it. There's things like the first cookie recipe. I'm going to try to find a picture that's like an interesting picture, if you could maybe see it from far away. So there's some pictures like Juliette Gordon Low. This is the picture of her that's in the National Portrait Gallery in Washington, D.C. So I had so much fun doing it. I had a really wonderful time. So when Marci and Christy asked me to talk with you today about what Juliette Gordon Low would be doing during this time, I thought, what an interesting question. This is a time that's not like any other time that any of us can remember. But Juliette Gordon Low was alive during the Spanish flu epidemic in 1918, which, as you know, probably if you know Girl Scout history, she founded the Girl Scouts in America in 1912. When she was 51. And so in 1918, a lot of people were very sick with another kind of flu. And the Girl Scouts then made masks. They helped out in soup kitchens. They helped out in a lot of volunteer ways. And Juliette Gordon Low led a lot of that at that time. So I was kind of remembering about that, and I was thinking about that. And then I was thinking about, what would she really do all day? And I wonder if any of it sounds familiar to you. So first of all, she loved animals. She absolutely loved animals. She had parrots and a dog and all kinds of animals that she really loved. And I know she'd be spending time with her pets and probably other animals that she could even find in her neighborhood, and she would scoop them up and make pets out of them. So I'm wondering if maybe some of you are doing that too. She was also very artistic, and she loved to do sculpture. She did iron work even, which is one of the most unusual and beautiful things I saw when I went to the birthplace in Savannah, were these incredible doors made of iron that she had forged herself. So I bet she'd be doing some really beautiful, interesting art. She really loved also performing in plays. And, maybe you have siblings you could do this with, or you could do it with your friends on Zoom, or, this is kind of a hard time when you're not seeing your friends as much, but she liked to dress up in costumes and write plays and then perform in them. She also loved to be self-sufficient in a lot of ways. So baking and cooking and sewing and things like that are very much about a lot of the badges that you all are working on probably these days. She loved camping, and we could still camp in our backyards now. I know we're sad that some of the camps aren't going to be the way that we were hoping they would be this year, but we can still go outside and be in the outdoors and experience nature, go for walks, get exercise. So I bet she'd be doing things like that. And she'd be maybe challenging herself in some new way. She used to do things like stand on her head every year on her birthday, which was October 31st, just because she thought that was fun. It was a big challenge, and she had a funny sense of humor, and she liked to do things like that. So she might be thinking of a challenge of some sort, or something new to learn, or something unusual to do that you might not be doing if you were going to regular school, or doing something the way all your activities were the way before all this happened. as I was mentioning before with the 1918 experience, I think she'd be thinking about giving back to others. And this was hard too, because, you know, we're being really careful and we have to be safe. And so what can we do in this time where we're giving back to others? And I do think the making of the masks that they did during that time is something I've heard of a lot of Girl Scout troops doing now, which is pretty cool. You could be using some sewing experiences from badges to be helping other people. I know that there are also a lot of people who are having trouble with food, and there's food pantry drives and things like that, that you could be helping with. And those are things that she would be thinking about, I think, during this time. Something that I thought that was not like what she would be doing is the internet. So we have this technology these days that she did not have. She loved writing letters. And when I researched her, I would find sometimes she would write 8 or 10 letters in a single day. And she had beautiful handwriting, and she would draw little pictures. She was very artistic around all her letters. So the way we can communicate now is pretty cool. We can see each other, but I wonder if maybe that's one thing that you could do that she would have done, is write somebody a letter. And I think we don't do that as much these days as we could. And you know, I every now and then write an actual real letter in my real handwriting to people, but we don't do a lot of that. Maybe it's time to try it. So that was something a little different from the way she would communicate. And I know she would also be thinking about her sisters in Girl Scouting and how they're doing. And she would communicate through letters and ask how they're doing. And that's something else I've been trying to do almost every day in some way, is try to check in on somebody who might be a Girl Scout sister, who might be a friend or a family member. And that's something I'd love to hear from you too, if you're doing things like that. And I think that would be a good idea. So she really wanted to help other people so much. And so those last two things I've been thinking about a lot, especially the checking in on others and communicating, maybe with a letter and maybe with an email. So that's, you know, we have this new technology compared to what she would have, which, my gosh, can you imagine if we couldn't have online school and all that, what we would do? But she did it somehow. So they had an unusually similar experience in 1918 in many ways. And I think so many of the same things that we can do, they did then. And I wanted to read to you just a little bit. There's a quote at the beginning of the book about, that's from the 1916 How Girls Can Help Their Country. It was the first handbook for the Girl Scouts that Juliette Gordon Low helped create with Robert Baden-Powell, who had created the Boy Scouts, and Agnes Baden-Powell. So this is something that was in the very first one, and it's about yourself too. So this is something I've been thinking a lot about as we're all at home a lot more these days. Have you ever stopped to think that your most constant companion throughout life will be yourself? You will always have this body, this mind, and this spirit that you call I, but this body, this mind, and this spirit are constantly growing and changing. And it is quite possible for the owner to direct the growth and change. In order to live well, in order to possess the joy of life, and to be helpful to others, a scout needs to apply her motto, be prepared, to herself. Strength and beauty should be hers in body, mind, and spirit. I just thought that works for today too, which is really interesting. So we miss our friends, and we need to communicate with them, but we have ourselves too, and everything that we're working on individually as Girl Scouts. So I'd love to hear any questions you have. And I know Marci probably might have questions too, but we can start anywhere you'd like.
So just a reminder for those on the call to unmute yourself, unless we can do an all unmute, but maybe it's just easier for people to unmute themselves. If you haven't done that before, there's a little button on the lower level of the screen, and it looks like a little microphone, and it will say mute or unmute. So just click on that, or I think you can just hit the space bar on your keyboard, and then we'll be able to hear you.
How long did it take you to research your book before you actually wrote it?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I feel like the book had pretty much a 3-year experience of researching for about a year, writing for about a year, and then a year as it was being created as a book and coming out. And I had started it so it would come out for the 100th anniversary in 2012. So I might have done it even a little faster than 3 years, but it was about 3 years from thinking about it for the first time to getting it out there.
Sylvia, I think you're talking, but can you repeat that a little bit louder, please?
I asked, what was your favorite thing you researched about her?
Oh, my favorite thing that I researched about her. I love so many stories about her. Well, I was fascinated to find out that Juliette Gordon Low was almost completely deaf. Did you all know that?
No.
So she had an illness and some basically an ear infection that had taken away much of her hearing in one ear. And then when she was getting married, a grain of rice flew in the other ear and lodged in and made her almost completely deaf in that ear. So over the years, a lot of people didn't know it, and she got very good at reading people's lips and not letting people know she was deaf. And she was kind of funny sometimes about pretending like she couldn't hear somebody even when she could, because she didn't feel like hearing what they were saying. She kind of had a funny stubborn streak like that. But I think she understood a lot about having a tough life in a lot of ways. This was something she had to overcome. This was a disability that she learned to live with and learned to make the best of. And she eventually did get a hearing aid and would turn it up or turn it down, again, depending on whether she wanted to hear what somebody said. And she also was a big talker, so she loved to tell stories. So she would sometimes just talk, and then she couldn't quite hear what they were saying. But I really was amazed at how she made such an incredible life for herself, especially as a woman at age 51, to start something new. In those days, that was older. That was something that she really reinvented herself. And she was a woman with she had a lot of money growing up, but then she'd had a lot of troubles in her life. And I was just so impressed with her that she got beyond that and created what we still have today.
Yeah, I heard that whenever somebody would tell Juliette no, she would just say that she couldn't hear him.
Yeah. I heard that. Yeah, isn't that funny? So she had this very, very fun personality.
Yeah, because I read that there's a series of books that are about these Girl Scouts, and they solve mysteries. And in one, they went to Savannah, Georgia, and they took a tour of the birthplace. And I also went to the birthplace with my family.
Oh,
Excellent.
great.
Excellent.
What did you think of it there?
Well, I don't remember a lot of it, but what I do remember, it was really fun and really cool. I heard that she started the Girl Scouts in a shed out back, I believe.
So there was a little house nearby, yeah, kind of like a guest cottage, and that's where they started. That's where they started. That's where they had their first meeting.
Yeah, the first she shed.
Yeah, the first she should. And she also set up a basketball court near there for the girls, which was a big deal too, because in that time, girls weren't really, it wasn't considered okay to be out and about in shorts or athletic wear. So she had to basically create these big curtains around this outdoor basketball court so the girls could play basketball. So she was very resourceful.
Boys is what they thought. Sports were for boys is what they thought. So, yeah.
Right. And she wanted the girls to be able to play sports.
Yeah.
Shannon, when you were talking about Juliette and her affection for a lot of animals, it reminded me of when I had the opportunity to also tour.
Oh, isn't that
in the first
nice?
place. And I was wondering, I'm going to mute myself because there's my dog. But what do we know about? So she did have a lot of, she had parrots, was it? And did she also have pets in her home?
She did. So I think this is her dog that you have right there. And I have some pictures in the book of other animals that she had of parrots and birds. But she just loved animals so much. And she would, I'm trying to find one of these in here if I can, with the birds. And she would talk to the birds. And oh, here's another one with her little, this is from 1882. It's a little picture of her with a little dog. Yeah, so she loved animals. And she also used her art a lot in creating art of animals, about animals. Many of her pictures and drawings and sculptures were animal related.
So some of you are already muted, and that's fine, but by show of hands, how many of you have an animal in your house, or that even if you don't have it in your house, that you love, lots and lots of girls love animals just like Juliette. Oh, that's great.
With my baby.
Probably spending additional time with your animals right now, aren't you? I think Shannon is going to get her
This is BB.
office mate. There we go.
This is my office mate BB.
Did you have BB while you were researching the book?
Yes. So I have a great memory of just getting her when the book was due. So at the very end. And so she would sit outside with me as I was finishing up, and it was in August, I remember. Yeah. So we got her then. Oh, and there's Carrie's cat, I see. And Sophie's got a cat.
Oh my gosh, this is great. Juliette would be so happy right now.
She would be pleased, yeah. And Dana's got a cat, a dog. No, is that a dog? Aw. Someone's sleeping in the sun there. Dana's dog. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So are many of you spending more time with your animals these days? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. I wonder is anyone working on anything these days or doing anything that it has involved something you did in badge work? So one of my daughters just got out our sewing machine for the first time in a long time, and I thought that was really cool. Dana, do you have something? Do you know how to unmute yourself? There you go.
My Girl Scout troop has been working on our Bronze Award, which has been actually making blankets for the Humane Society.
Nice.
Perfect. Dana, where do you live?
Holman.
Holman. Excellent. All righty. Good.
And are you able to work on the blankets during this time together? So it's something you can work on at home and still get them to the Humane Society?
Yeah.
That's great.
Wonderful. It looked like there were some other hands up too that are working on things for badges. Oh, Sophie's got something.
Sophie, what are you making?
I'm in the same troop as Dana. I was just showing what we're making so far.
Oh,
Oh, they're
excellent.
really nice. Is it fun to see each other?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Those look like really nice blankets. How did you decide what pattern to use?
So we really were just like thinking about what colors were more appropriate for Girl Scouts. So I was like, yeah, a green, right? Because our logo's green.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe a gray as a more subtle approach. But this one, I was like, well, we need to show some love too for the animals. So why don't we put some hearts in it as well?
That's
And
fantastic.
the green, gray, and the blue kind of match each other. So it's kind of perfect.
Really nice.
Have any of you ever thought about writing a book, or have you written a book?
Yep.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So have you had any challenges or any things to share with Shannon about that experience?
Sydney, I saw your hand go up. Sydney, you've written a book?
Yeah, when I was in second grade, we read a book. Actually, when I was in first grade, we read like a class book, and my teacher had a publisher, so we actually got to like publish the book and like
Cool.
hardcover.
So you are a published author, Sydney?
Sort of, yeah. We all got like 2 pages in the book. One of them was a picture, and one of them was like the informational page.
That's correct.
What was it about? What did you write about?
Space. The first one was space, and then one of them my teacher sort of published with like cardstock paper and duct tape, like laminated paper.
That sounds really
And
cool.
that one was about when we grew up, what we wanted to be.
Excellent. There were some
Is
other
any-
things.
Yeah, there's somebody else wanted to talk about the book. Carrie?
This wasn't about the book.
Charlotte and I are actually creating a book.
Oh,
Hi, Eloise. What's your book about?
Hi, so it's titled Cat School. I'm the illustrator, Charlotte's the author. I am also helping with the mistakes she makes. So we are sending on Google Docs.
you're the copy editor.
Yes.
It's good to have an editor. I need an editor. We all need editors. Editors are important. That sounds fun. That sounds really fun. Is anyone keeping a journal right now? I really think that's fun. Even if you're not sure if anyone else is going to read it, it just is really wonderful for yourself to sometimes write down what's going on, or you can go back and remember what this time was like.
I am.
Yeah, Dana? Dana? You are? Yeah.
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 Do you write every day?
I pretty much write when I want to. So I like started it on Monday actually. So
All right.
I guess I've
That's great.
wrote yesterday and today.
Every journey begins with the first step. I'm curious. Shannon was talking about the things that Juliette did and encouraged the Girl Scouts to do as we were very young as a movement. And one of the things that Shannon talked about quite a bit was helping other people. And so we've talked about the Holman Troop working on their Bronze Award for service, actually to the animals. But what kinds of ways are you right now helping other people might be around your house or your neighborhood or somebody far away. How are you making a difference? Dana?
My cousin is 5 and her parents are both working from home. So every week I have a Zoom with her to take up an hour so she's not bored.
Nice.
That's wonderful. It's very helpful.
Sydney? Sydney, can you unmute yourself so we can hear? There we go. Good.
I actually had a journal too.
Uh-huh.
I actually have it next to me. It's sort of not really a journal. It's more of like a notepad, like book, but I put like my birthday cards in it, and I've been noting down like a tons of different like Girl Scout things with all the programs I've been doing.
Have you been doing a lot of programs?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of like webinars for like swimming Girl Scouts, like Zoom meetings.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Are you in Badgerland, Sydney?
No, I'm in Connecticut.
Connecticut. Where in Connecticut?
Milford.
Okay, well, welcome. Have you ever been to Wisconsin?
No.
Well, girls on the phone, how old are you, Sydney?
I'm 10.
You're 10, okay. So girls on the phone that are from Badgerland, if Sydney were to come here, what are the things that you'd want her to know about the state that you're living in? Just unmute yourself and tell her a little bit about Wisconsin.
It has really good dairy products.
Really good dairy products, yes. Anything in particular that you like, Eloise, of those dairy products?
She likes ice cream.
Ice cream. Thanks, Charlotte. Okay. What other things about Wisconsin would you want Sydney to know?
Very green. There's a lot of plants.
Yes, absolutely. Has anybody been to Connecticut?
No.
No? So Sydney, what would you tell these girls about Connecticut?
It's close to New York City.
Uh-huh.
Well, I live actually really close to Walnut Beach.
Okay. Is that on the ocean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's more of a sound. We're on like Walnut Beach is on Long Island Sound.
Uh-huh. Okay. You mentioned New York City. Do you get there very often?
Yeah, because my mom has to do like work there.
Okay. Do you
Sometimes.
take the train or do you take the bus or how do you get there?
Car.
Car. You're pretty brave.
Yeah, because it's like 2 hours there
Okay.
from here.
Excellent.
Has anybody been doing anything you haven't done before during the past couple of months? Like something completely new? Like a project or I know you're doing your Bronze Award, which is wonderful, but are you learning something different or did you challenge yourself in some way?
Yep.
Who's that? Who's that?
I think it's either
Sophie?
Sophie.
Sophie?
Yes.
Sophie?
So it's not something new, but I've been going more into studying a language that I've been wanting to study for a long time, which is Korean. So I've been studying a lot of that lately. That's fun.
Fun.
That's great.
Good for you. Is anyone, oh, Dana, what are you doing?
I'm also trying to learn a new language, which is Portuguese.
Wow.
You guys have selected some interesting options.
Yeah. Carrie, or is it Charlotte or Carrie?
It's Eloise.
Or Eloise. It says Carrie. Eloise.
I'll change that after this, but we are also working on our Bronze Award, and we are starting to do Roblox coding.
Ooh,
The Roblox studio.
Excellent.
cool. And Sydney.
I've been starting to do hula classes and bring the hula hoop,
Fun.
and we've been starting to do like a patio.
Fun. So house projects and exercise, hula, dance kind of things. That's fun.
Yeah.
I really appreciated what you were saying about Juliette and things that were important to her, and certainly during the great Spanish flu that she lived through, that we're now going through this time period, and how she loved writing letters. And there is an initiative of Girl Scouts around the country of doing a big letter writing campaign to first responders in our community, to neighbors, to just reach out to people. And I'm curious if any of the Girl Scouts who are with us today are interested in doing that, or even have done anything like that.
That's wonderful to hear. I
So
didn't know about that.
I see some heads nodding up and down, Christy. Sophie, have you done it, or are you interested?
I'm interested in doing it.
Okay. So Christy, could we send that as a follow-up link to the folks on this call?
Yes, we'll do
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Another thing I was thinking about when Shannon was talking about Juliette Gordon Low, and a couple of you had indicated that you've been to her birthplace. Certainly Shannon has, as part of the research for her book. But the council there, for the last couple of summers, has sponsored, they call it a Savannah Quest, and it's a kind of a trivia scavenger hunt. And we had Badgerland girls take the bus down last year and participate in person. But it was the middle of July, so especially for those of us from Wisconsin, it was really hot and humid, as it would be in the middle of July in Georgia. But this year they're doing it virtually, and they're inviting their sister Girl Scouts from throughout the US to participate, in fact, around the world. So maybe we can attach that to the email too. So if you're interested in knowing more about Savannah, and there's a lot of history around Juliette Gordon Low, you can do that too. And that will be attached to the email. And it's like I say, it's happening in the middle of July. So you'd have to put it in your journal or on your calendar and plan ahead.
That sounds like fun. Wow. And that's one thing during this time, there are some more opportunities that come up that maybe you might, if we can't travel to Savannah, we can go there virtually, which is kind of neat.
Shannon, I think that's one of the things that I took away from your book, and reading about Juliette was in your book was one of my first introductions to this incredible woman. And one of the things that I felt was very powerful is her desire to do what she wanted to do. She had a vision, and she was dogmatic and making it happen. And it was always around what's best for the girls. And when she saw a roadblock, like girls weren't supposed to be studying outside, or they weren't supposed to camp, or all these things that society was saying that girls weren't supposed to do, she said, no, we're going to make it possible for girls to play basketball or to camp outside or to help other people. And so her spirit was strong, and she always worked to find a way. Even when she was told no, she found a way to turn that no into a yes. And I think that's what is so important in Girl Scouts. We understand where it is that we want to go, and we figure out how to get there, even when sometimes obstacles fall over. You know, I was hiking the other day out at Brandenburg, that's the camp behind me, and a tree had fallen down in the path. And it wasn't a question about whether I turned around and went back to the lodge. It was like, okay, well, how do I get over this? How do I get around it? How do I get under it? You know, how do I get to where I'm going, even though there's a tree in my way? And I think Juliette had all kinds of trees in her way and worked really hard to figure out how to get around it, over it, or under it so that she could get to where she was going. And I think during this time, that's a really important lesson for us. And, maybe we can't experience something that we thought we were going to, but we're really smart as Girl Scouts, and we can figure out how to get there. Do you guys agree?
Actually, that's a great description. I love that. The tree and going around it or over it or under it and just making it happen. I think it is so what Juliette had in mind when she started it. And she would always say, ask the girls. And she, the adults are here to help you in many ways and to be here when you need us. But it's about you and what you want to do and what you can accomplish. Are the adults are you troop leaders, and how are you doing during this time with your troops? Abby?
Thanks.
This is Abby. Abby's my daughter. She's a Daisy, and I'm Carrie. I'm a troop leader. I have 14 girls, and we're just outside of Philly.
Okay. Welcome.
We spent maybe the first, our county in Pennsylvania, which is right above Philly, so we're a separate county, was the first county to kind of get shut down because it was like the hotbed of where COVID was in PA. So we spent the first few weeks trying to figure out, oh my, now what do I do?
Right.
But I felt so blessed by the other councils around us. Like the Ohio girls, the Texas girls, like their councils really got up with a lot of videos and stuff quickly. And it was almost like continuing ed for me to figure out, oh, okay, well, this is how we do it. This is what we do now. Mm-hmm. And so now I think we're in our 5th or 6th week of meeting on Zoom once a week. And right now my girls are working on their citizen science badge. We did Good Neighbor at the beginning. So we're still working on badge work. We're making it. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Abby, are you having fun? Sorry. What do you like best?
What do you like best about what you're working on right now?
I like that we can go outside and do it instead of doing it inside. So we're working on this thing called iNaturalist. It's like on your computer or phone, and you're talking to citizen scientists by taking pictures of plants or animals and then putting it on their website.
Yeah, so they're doing the SciStarter iNaturalist project right now.
That is so cool.
It's good because, we meet on Zoom and stuff, and they're having online school, but they need to get outside too. So this lets them do Girl Scouts and still get out and see some cool nature stuff. So
I love it. I think that's wonderful. That's great. Sorry, I have a little cough. This is new. And I see Eloise and Charlotte's person is up too.
Hi, Carrie.
Hi. I heard something about leaders. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're doing so much. We just started our junior Bronze Award project while we did the brainstorming session. And that was on Zoom, and it was a whole hour and a half. Oh my gosh. But my two keep disappearing. I don't know. They're getting camera shy on Zoom now. So we gotta get over that little bump.
And is your project, is it the same, is it the Humane Society project or no?
Oh, we haven't chosen yet. We just did the brainstorming, and we have a lot of great ideas. My most favorite though is this festival. Nuclearis is known for its festivals, and they want to do a festival. Everybody has a different booth, and we can teach people how to build houses for different species we want to attract, bats and bluebirds and what else? Black bears? No black bears. No, we'll skip the black bear one.
That's great.
There's a lot of great ideas out there.
Well, and a shout out to the Badgerland girls. Eloise and I have been on TV a couple of different times over the last couple of weeks, and Charlotte has joined us. Yeah, there they are. So Eloise is part of the media girls, and Charlotte has been making guest appearances on TV with us. So for Badgerland Girls, that's an annual opportunity that will present itself in the fall, and we invite you to apply to be a media girl, and you'll have some training about what it means to be a journalist, and then an opportunity to write and to be on TV and to make different in-person appearances as well.
It sounds like a great opportunity. Wonderful.
Yeah, so it's been a win-win. It's been a win-win. So Charlene, I see you are there. Are you also a leader?
I am.
And are you in the Badgerland Council?
Yes.
Okay, I thought so. You look familiar. Where are you from?
Biola.
Okay, all right.
Little village.
Yeah.
Between
Yes.
Broke and Richmond Center. Yeah. I had to learn how to Zoom so we can do Zoom meetings with my troops.
Oh, see,
So
we're
that
all
was-
learning new things, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we were right in the middle of our space badge when school got called off, and so we're almost done with that. We've had 3 weeks of meetings now.
Thank you. Thank you for stepping outside of your comfort zone and being
Very much.
Yeah, no, I get it. This is we're all learning. In fact, I learned something on the Zoom yesterday for the first time. It's like, okay, and I think that's embracing the spirit of Juliette. She had a lot of things thrown at her. Shannon talked about her being deaf, and not being able to hear is a really hard thing. And it was a very hard thing back then because there wasn't all the assistance that is available now. In fact, at one point, and I don't remember what it's called, but she used a horn. I mean, there's a name for it, but it was actually, I think, probably a cow's horn that was hollowed out that you would put in your ear, and it helped magnify the sound. Maybe you girls have seen something like that, but you don't see it very often, and it doesn't do that great of a job of helping to hear. And so imagine how difficult it was for this incredible woman to lose her hearing at a very young age twice. She lost it when she was pretty young, and then as was acknowledged, on her wedding day. And boy, that's not what most of us plan on having happen as we're embarking on our honeymoon. And so she overcame a lot of challenges, just as we're overcoming, and she made the best of life, despite having some things that others might have said, I can't do this, and stayed inside and just not made a difference. But this is a woman who has made a huge difference. Millions and millions and millions and millions of girls and adults have joined this amazing organization. You guys might know that all 3 female Secretary of States, former Girl Scouts. Most of the senators in our government are former Girl Scouts. All but one of the astronauts have been former Girl Scouts. A number of the female athletes, Girl Scouts. So when you look at folks in the world that are making a difference, whether it's in education or medicine, sports, music, space, so many of them receive their foundational leadership skills through this organization that we're all a part of. And we're all a part of an organization because of Juliette Gordon Low. So if you doubt that you can make a difference, think about the difference that this woman made and how many lives have been influenced and shaped by the power of Juliette Gordon Low. We are coming close to our time together. Want to ask once again if there are any questions or comments, especially towards Shannon, the author of this amazing book. I guess I would ask you, Shannon. I actually do have my copy, and you were
there it is.
Kind enough to sign it for me, which I treasure, having a book that's signed by the author. But if there are people on the call who don't have your book in their library, is it possible to get it?
It is. It's on Amazon, and some councils sell it in the council stores, but it's definitely available on Amazon if you're looking for it. Yeah.
So
Sydney?
So we will make that link also available in the information that we send out to you as follow-up. We know that there are a number of you from different councils on this call, and we'll make sure it's possible for you to get a copy of On My Honor if you would like. Other comments?
It looks like Sydney has a, oh, there it is. Yeah. Sydney has a question.
What's one of your favorite parts of the book that you wrote?
Oh, which favorite part? So the way the book is written, it's very much a biography of Juliette Gordon Low, but it's also a modern history. So I really like the way I was able to tell the story about being a Girl Scout leader and what's happening today, like what we're talking about, all the great things you're all doing in your society more than 100 years later. So I like that it's a biography, but I like that it's showing how what she did is influencing our lives today. So that theme and that thread throughout the book was really profound for me, that she changed our lives for the better. Dana, is it Dana?
Yes.
My troop has been having 2 meetings a week, one like social and one badge work. And they're both for like an hour. I don't know, I just wanted to say that for some reason.
Well, thank you.
Well, good for you. That's great.
One of the things that I'm hearing when I'm on these calls is how much the girls like seeing other girls. I know that most of us are wired to be around other people. And one of the girls on the call on Sunday said, I live in a house full of boys and it's really great to see girls. So whatever your motivation is for being connected, that's an important part of Girl Scouts. And we want to invite you to join us for the sessions that we're trying to have at least one a day. So check us out. You're welcome from anywhere in the country. We also are having virtual camp this summer. Want to own that it's not the same as the summer we had anticipated, but candidly, I think Juliette would approve that we're making lemonade out of lemons. We are excited that the virtual programs, the registration is now available, and I invite you to check out those opportunities that will be beginning in the middle of June and going all the way through August. So we will conclude our time together with a huge thank you. And those of you on the call, I'm going to ask if you would unmute so that Shannon can hear us thanking her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really,
Thank you.
we really
I
appreciate it.
appreciate all of you so much. And if I do think Juliette would say, if you can check in on a sister Girl Scout or a friend or a family member, she would, and write a letter. I think she'd love to hear those two things from all of us.
Absolutely. So Girl Scouts, stay strong. And thanks again, Shannon. It's
Thanks, Marci.
great to see everybody. You guys take care and have a good day.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.